Economics was once a field dominated by abstract theories and mathematical models, studied only through observation of real-world markets. Then one economist dared to ask a radical question. What if we could test economic theories in a controlled laboratory setting, just like scientists test hypotheses in physics or chemistry? Vernon L Smith transformed economics from a purely observational science into an experimental one. Born in 1927 in Wichita, Kansas, Smith grew up during the Great Depression, an experience that would later fuel his curiosity about how markets function and sometimes fail. After earning his doctorate from Harvard University, Smith began his groundbreaking work in the 1950s. At the time, most economists believed that laboratory experiments were impossible in economics because human behavior was too complex and unpredictable to study in artificial settings. Smith proved them wrong. He developed innovative experimental methods that allowed researchers to create miniature economies in laboratory environments. In these controlled settings, real people made real economic decisions with real monetary incentives, allowing researchers to observe how markets actually behave rather than just theorizing about them. His most famous early experiments involved testing market equilibrium theory. He recruited students to participate in simulated markets where they could buy and sell goods. What he discovered was remarkable. Even with limited information and no central coordination, these experimental markets consistently moved toward the equilibrium prices predicted by economic theory. This wasn't just an academic curiosity. Smith's experimental approach revealed fundamental truths about how markets self-organize and process information. His work demonstrated that markets could be efficient even when individual participants had incomplete knowledge, a finding that challenged conventional wisdom about the requirements for market success. Smith's methodology extended beyond simple market experiments. He pioneered the use of experimental economics to test auction designs, study bargaining behavior, and examine how different institutional rules affect economic outcomes. His laboratory became a testing ground for economic policies before they were implemented in the real world. One of his most significant contributions was showing that market institutions matter enormously. Through careful experimentation, Smith demonstrated that the specific rules governing how buyers and sellers interact could dramatically affect market performance. This insight has influenced everything from spectrum auctions to electricity market design. The impact of Smith's work rippled throughout economics and beyond. Policymakers began using experimental methods to test regulatory proposals. Businesses employed experimental techniques to design better markets and mechanisms. Other social sciences adopted his rigorous experimental approach to study human behavior. In 2002, the Royal Swedish Academy of Sciences awarded Vernon Smith the Nobel Memorial Prize in Economic Sciences, sharing it with Daniel Kahneman. Smith's legacy extends far beyond his own research. He trained generations of experimental economists who continue to push the boundaries of the field. Today, experimental economics is a thriving discipline with dedicated journals, conferences, and research centers around the world. His work also bridged the gap between economic theory and practice. By providing empirical evidence for theoretical predictions, Smith gave economists a powerful tool to validate or refute their models. When experiments contradicted theory, they pointed the way toward better theories that more accurately described human economic behavior. Throughout his career, Smith remained committed to the idea that economics should be grounded in observable evidence rather than pure abstraction. His experimental approach brought scientific rigor to questions that had previously been answered only through speculation or casual observation of complex real-world markets. Vernon Smith didn't just conduct experiments in economics. He fundamentally changed how economists think about their discipline, transforming it into a science where theories can be tested, refined, and validated through controlled experimentation. His pioneering work created an entirely new way of understanding how markets work and how economic institutions can be designed to serve society better.